It seems like everything in the working world changes so fast these days. You know, you blink and the whole landscape is different. It's crazy.
It really is. It really is.
To be competitive today, you can't just keep up. You got to know where you're headed, right?
Absolutely.
That's why we're going deep on career paths today. Career paths inside organizations.
Oh, yeah.
So we could figure out how to navigate all this craziness.
Yeah, a career path is basically like a roadmap, right?
Yeah.
It's that internal roadmap that an organization puts together to help you see how you might be able to grow there.
Right.
It helps you understand what you need to do to develop in your role, and it helps you see your future with that company.
Exactly.
It's such an important tool, not only for your personal goals, but also for the organization as a whole.
Right.
It helps them figure out how to purposefully develop all of their talent, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's really our mission today,
Yeah.
to understand why these career paths are so important right now in this world where things are changing constantly. We're going to unpack how they motivate people,
Yeah.
how they help create those clear development plans for employees, and how they make things more fair and transparent.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to talk about how these career paths are essential for a company to thrive in the long term.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's jump in. What is it about today's work landscape that makes these career paths so important?
Well, I think it comes down to, something pretty basic.
Okay.
Motivation.
Okay.
Imagine you're working really hard, but you can't really see where all that hard work's going to get you.
Yeah.
Now think about the opposite.
Okay.
What if you knew the steps you needed to take to get ahead? What if you knew the roles that you could shoot for?
Right.
What if you knew exactly what skills you needed to build?
Exactly.
That clarity is a huge motivator.
Absolutely.
When you see the possibilities, you become so much more invested in your own growth. And when you can see a future for yourself at a company, well, you're much more likely to want to stay there for the long haul.
Right, right.
That's because you have what they call that line of sight, you know?
Yeah.
It's that connection between what you're doing now and your potential in the future.
It's not just some vague hope that you'll move up someday.
No, not at all.
It's about seeing what's possible and understanding what it takes to get there.
Exactly.
Which leads us right to the next idea. Structured development and training.
Oh, absolutely. When an organization has those clearly defined career paths, well, they can start creating targeted learning programs to support those paths, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you want to reach a particular role a few steps ahead of where you are now.
Yeah.
The company can proactively offer training to get you there.
Right.
They can give you mentors and help you get valuable experience.
Yeah.
All the stuff that you need to acquire the necessary skills.
Exactly.
That becomes a win-win for everyone.
Totally.
You get the development that you need to move up, and the organization gets a more skilled and capable workforce.
Yeah.
And that's really important because then they're ready to face whatever challenges come their way in the future.
It's almost like the company is saying, hey, we believe in you, and we're going to give you the tools and guidance that you need to reach your goals here.
Yeah, yeah.
Which makes employees feel so much more supported and valued, I think.
Absolutely.
And that feeling of being supported and valued, that feeds right into that fairness and transparency that you were talking about earlier.
Oh, absolutely.
So
when career paths are really clearly laid out, there's no guessing game about promotions.
Right.
Or how to get opportunities to move up.
Right, right.
Employees understand what's expected of them.
Yeah.
They understand the skills that are important.
Right.
And they see the usual way that people progress.
And about this trust.
It does.
Yeah.
It builds trust because people feel like the system is fair. They see that growth is based on merit and development, not on someone liking you more or unwritten rules or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
And in today's world, this is so important.
Yeah.
People really care about transparency.
Yeah.
And they want to know that they have an equal chance to move up.
Absolutely.
It's really critical for companies to be fair and transparent if they want to attract and keep top talent.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's no clarity, it feels like nobody knows what's going on.
Right.
Like it's a total black box,
Yeah.
and that's really demotivating.
Totally. And when you zoom out and look at the big picture, you can see how this all comes together.
Uh-huh.
When companies focus on developing their people, they're basically creating their own future leaders and experts.
That's right.
Right.
When you invest in your employees' growth and you do it strategically, you're making sure you have the right people ready to step into those crucial roles when they open up.
Exactly.
Like building a farm team, you know?
Yeah.
You're growing your talent from the ground up.
And you're not scrambling to hire people from outside the company every time a senior role opens up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, because you've already got people who are ready to go. And that just makes the whole organization run more smoothly.
It really does.
So I think we've done a good job explaining why career paths are so critical today.
Yeah.
Especially with all of the changes that are happening in the work world.
For sure.
So let's dig a little deeper into the different types of career paths.
Okay.
Our sources talk about two main models, the management track and the specialist track.
Yeah.
Let's start with the management track. What does that typically look like?
So the management track, it's usually for people who are natural leaders.
Okay.
The folks that are good at building teams and motivating people.
Right.
And they have to be good at thinking strategically.
Got it.
On this path, you typically start as a team leader.
Okay.
And then you might become a department head.
Okay.
And then maybe a director or even a senior executive.
Yeah.
The focus here is on guiding people and managing resources so the organization can achieve its goals.
Right. So the main skills here are all about people management.
That's right.
You know, being able to communicate well and delegate and keep your team motivated and working together.
Exactly. And as you move up the management track, the need for strategic planning and problem-solving skills, that just becomes more and more important.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You're not just managing day-to-day stuff anymore. You're helping to shape the future of the organization.
Right.
You're making decisions that affect the company's long-term success.
So growth on this track is typically vertical.
Right.
You're moving up the ladder to higher positions with more responsibility and authority.
Exactly.
But what about people who are really passionate about a specific field?
Yeah.
You know, the ones who want to become true experts in their area, but they don't necessarily want to manage other people.
Right, right.
That's where the specialist track comes in, right?
Exactly. That's the big difference. The specialist track is all about going deep in one particular area. Yeah. People on this track, they're always learning more.
Right.
They're constantly refining their skills.
Yeah.
They become super valuable to the company because they're the go-to people for their area of expertise.
Right.
They offer insights and drive innovation, but they don't have to manage anyone else.
So their growth isn't about moving up in the hierarchy.
Right.
It's about becoming the best they can be in their chosen field.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you give an example of how that might work?
Sure. So let's say someone starts out as a specialist.
Okay.
As they gain more experience and knowledge, they might become a senior specialist and then maybe a knowledge expert.
Right.
And eventually they could even become a principal expert.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Each step represents a deeper level of mastery. They gain more experience and influence within their field.
Yeah.
They're the ones everyone goes to for the really tough problems.
Right.
And they're often the ones pushing the boundaries and coming up with new ideas.
That makes sense. So we've got one path for the leaders and another path for the deep thinkers.
Right.
It's really important for companies to recognize that there's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to careers.
Oh, absolutely.
People are different.
They are.
They have different talents and ambitions.
Exactly.
If a company wants to attract and keep great people, they need to understand that and support all these different paths.
Yeah, that's so true, especially with how much the world of work is changing all the time.
Yeah.
And now think about your own career.
Okay.
Or think about the people you work with.
Okay.
Which path do you identify with more, management or specialist?
Right. Yeah.
Which one do you see yourself on?
Yeah.
Which one do your colleagues seem to gravitate toward?
Yeah. Good question.
What aspects of each path really resonate with you, especially considering all the changes happening in the work world today?
That's something we should all be thinking about, for sure.
Absolutely.
It's all about recognizing that people have different strengths and goals. And companies need to create a culture where everyone can thrive.
And that brings us to our key takeaway for today.
Okay.
Creating those clear career paths and making sure there are options for both management and specialist roles. It's not just about giving employees a sense of direction.
Yeah.
Although that's really important in today's world.
Yeah.
It's about so much more than that.
Yeah.
It's a strategic move that helps companies develop and keep their talent.
Right.
And ultimately, it's what's going to help them succeed over the long term.
Because when you offer different paths for growth,
Yeah.
you're able to attract a wider range of people
That's right.
with different skills and interests and ambitions.
Yeah.
And by giving them a clear path forward, you're keeping them engaged and motivated.
Absolutely.
And they're more likely to stick around and contribute to the company's success.
And that's so important in this constantly evolving world of work, you know?
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up, here's one last thought for you to chew on. In this crazy world where everything's changing so fast, what role do you think those clearly defined career paths play in creating a workforce that's not only engaged, but also ready to adapt and embrace the future? Think about the companies,
Yeah.
How well do they support their employees' career growth?
Yeah.
And what impact does that have on how happy their employees are?
Right.
And on how well the company is able to adapt to change?
Good question. Something for us all to think about.
It is, for sure.
It's a really important conversation to have.
It is.
Thanks for joining us,
Absolutely.
and we'll see you next time.
See ya.